Good evening, my name is Zach, for those of you who don't know, and I'm going to present on the country Austria today. I'd like to start with the impersonation. Run! Go! Get to the chopper! Know who that is? That's my best impression of Arnold Schwarzenegger. In his role in the movie Predator, Arnold is of Austrian descent and is possibly the most famous Austrian in the world today, so I thought he'd be a good person to start off with. I chose Austria because I'm an avid skier, and Austria's got some of the best skiing in the world. I'd love to vacation there someday. But it's also relevant to you because of Austria's role in the beginning of World War I. As part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Franz Ferdinand, the Archduke, the successor to the throne, was assassinated at the start of World War I. That set the stage for World War II and the Cold War beyond that, shaped the future of Europe and the future of the world alike, and it is hard to imagine the world today without those occurrences. The information for this speech came from the Britannica Online Encyclopedia as well as National Geographic Online. And today I hope to teach you a little bit about Austria that you didn't know before by giving you a brief history, everyday norms, and cultural events such as holidays that they celebrate. Without further ado, I'll move into the history, but first I'd like to say that this information comes from the Austria section of the Britannica Encyclopedia, with the main author being Erich Zollner, a professor of Austrian history at the University of Vienna, that was updated in March 2020. So, people have lived in the territory that is now Austria for thousands of years, and it is centrally located between the ancient empires of Rome, Germany, and the Ottoman Empire. And these three powerhouses fought it out over that land for many years, and the Germanic Empire in 600 AD eventually drove both the Romans and the Ottomans long before out, bringing some stability to the territory there, and it allowed the people that resided there to have some customs and traditions of their own that have persisted into this day. In the year 1000, the then Emperor of Germany gifted the territory to one of his sons, and it became known as the Habsburg Empire, and this was the insignia adopted by the Habsburg Empire. And this actually became one of the symbols of the Holy Roman Empire when the Habsburg Empire became its central location around 1500 AD. And from 1500 to 1800, the Habsburg Empire was one of the biggest powers of Europe until Napoleon came and drove the Habsburg Empire into the ground. The territory experienced some dark times after Napoleon defeated them in war, but came to power again as the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the 1850s. This persisted until the beginning of World War I. As I said, the Archduke was assassinated, and after World War I, the country was in shambles, but it actually gained its sovereignty for the first time as Austria, the sole country. So, like I said, the country wasn't doing too well after the war, so it was easy for Germany to come in and annex them right at the beginning of World War II. Not many people know that Hitler himself is actually Austrian, so he wanted that land all along. Following World War II, Austria got its freedom again from the Allies, was not doing too well, claimed neutrality, kind of acted as a middleman between Russia and Western Europe during the Cold War. And in 1995, Austria joined the European Union. In 2002, they adopted the euro as their currency, and that pretty much brings us up to date. You can see here the country lines of what is currently Central Europe. Austria is bordered by Italy, Liechtenstein, Switzerland, Germany, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, and Slovenia. And these countries contribute to some of the languages that are spoken in Austria, but the national language is German. And I'll move into some of their everyday norms that I found. The most interesting one to me was the fact that traditional Austrian and Bavarian clothing is still worn in many rural parts of Austria in everyday life. You know, in the urban settings, it comes out for celebrations and holidays such as Oktoberfest and Germanfest and things like that. That's probably how we know these outfits from. But like I said, rural towns, older Austrians, they're wearing these in every day. So this is the lederhosen outfit for males, and then the dirndl dress for women. And I really like these outfits. I could rock one for sure. I think it would look great. But I really like that we saw these things, or at least I did, you know, in Beerfest, the movie, Oktoberfest, thought of it as a costume, but it's everyday clothing for them. Another everyday norm or occurrence that kind of goes without saying is that Catholicism is still very prominent, and because of that, the Pope is a lead figure, and that's kind of different for us here in the United States because the Catholic percentages are not quite as high as in Central Europe. The Pope is not such a prevalent figure, so that's a little bit different from here. Moving into their cultural events, they celebrate normal Catholic holidays such as Easter, Ash Wednesday, All Saints Day. But St. Nick's Day, December 6th, is one that I didn't know about before, but that's what I want to talk about here. In Catholic circles, that's the beginning of the Christmas holiday, and the night before St. Nick's Day is called Krampusnacht, so December 5th, and this is where my National Geographic information came in from Tanya Basu, December 2018. I read an article about Krampus, which is this mythical creature, which is goat man and devil, which is sort of the antagonist to Santa Claus. And I don't know if we have any Office fans out there, but this is Bolschnickel, Dwight dressed as Belschnickel. And I thought they were the same, but they're not. They're different, even though they represent the same thing, which is an entity that's antagonizing Santa Claus that punishes wrongdoers throughout the year. And here's an American Dad rendition of Krampus beating a child for being bad. So with that being said, I enjoyed studying Austria. I learned a lot. I hope I taught you something you didn't know with the history, everyday norms, and some of their holidays. And I think it would serve you best to remember some of this information, or the governor might terminate you. Thank you.